Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, get all the updates. Right, set for today's video. It's Saturday. On Saturdays, I do Cellar Saturday, where I drink something off the shelf. I've had this beer for a really long time. It's from a local brewery where I grew up, actually my hometown. And so this is the North Brewing Company, or the North Brewery, Imperial Cerberus. So it's an Imperial Stout aged in whiskey barrels with vanilla beans and coffee from September 2015. So it's 7 years old, and it has coffee in it. So who knows at this point? 13% ABV. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say they didn't intend for me to age this for 7 years. So I'm just going in wondering what the heck does this drink like now? And of course, I opened it over the sink in case it was gonna like gush or anything. And just like, you take the time to do that instead of doing it here where it'd make a huge mess, and there was no issue. As you can see, it's a relatively a still looking beer at this point. The little bit of bubbles that are there, they're a light brown color, but the beer itself, pretty darn black and dark. Yeah, definitely looks like a big stout. Let's get into the aroma. You get nice roastiness, but there's a good level of sweetness there. The roast is interesting because I think the base, like, you could get that roast from a base beer. I mean, I gotta imagine after 7 years, there's not much coffee still lingering in terms of like aroma and taste, but I'm not really getting much. I mean, a little bit of green pepper, which is pretty typical, but like not as much as I thought. I thought this was gonna be like very green peppery, or I just wouldn't get anything that made me think coffee. And I assume it's the vanilla or a combination of the vanilla and the whiskey, but like you do get some vanilla still. Wow. It actually smells really good. Like I don't know. I kind of, and again, I haven't tried it yet, but like I was kind of going into this thinking it'd be more like a fun beer to do than a good and fun beer to do, but it smells good. Some chocolate notes. And yeah, like a really good amount of vanilla. And it's like sweet vanilla. It's not just like vanilla bean, but actually kind of like confectionery vanilla. Let's get into the taste. Cheers. You know what? That's actually held up pretty well. Follows the aroma pretty good. You get a good amount of vanilla. Again, that roast thing, you could get that in just a beer, I think, but there might be a hair more. I'm really shocked that I'm even contemplating coffee after 7 years in the bottles. That's like probably the most surprising thing about this beer and this beer review right now. There is a little bit of like a stale, I'll just say stale into cardboard, but again, like not as much as I was anticipating. Not much like cherry or anything like that. Like I'm trying to think of like off flavors that could be presenting itself at this point. Not the ones I'm thinking of, except a little bit of that stale into cardboard thing. A very sweet chocolate. A little bit of like a molasses, rye, and then yeah, okay, so it's kind of an interesting trajectory because like I go the molasses to rye, and then it kind of makes sense, the rye into the oak. So that's definitely coming through from the whiskey barrels. I don't get like specifically whiskey, but like there is like a little bit of a spirit element, but it's not like a dominant flavor or anything. There's like a little prickliness to it. Not that it's overly sweet, but it's kind of like nice that it's there. I'm not going to say that this is at its peak right now, but I've said this several times at this point. I'll say it one more time. I am shocked that this is drinking that good, being a coffee stout aged for 7 years. Like it really, I don't know. I went into this thinking this would just be fun and like really trying to figure out some of these funky flavors that I'm not used to tasting in a beer. And what I got was a nice barrel-aged stout where these adjuncts are still coming through, but definitely past its peak. And from a beer reviewer point of view, like this is really nice because it does have some of those, in a pretty obvious way, like past its peak in terms of aging, flavors. Like that's like helpful to me, but also it's super drinkable. So it's not like I'm like fighting through it to be like, but I want to learn, you know? So like, I don't know. This was both fun and pretty darn enjoyable. So yeah, I'm stoked about that. I always like doing, you know, hometown, home area beers. So this was cool. And I was just looking at the shelf. I'm like, what do I want to do this week? I'm like, you know what? September 2022, September 2015. It's time to do it. 7 years. Hope if anyone from the north is watching, hope you guys are doing well. It was nice. I got to go there this summer when I was home visiting some people. That made me happy. Actually, I've gone twice. I did go twice this past summer. But anyway, hello to you guys. Have you had this beer before? Have you had like a coffee stout that you aged like way longer than you thought you should and you were pleasantly surprised, or you weren't pleasantly surprised? Anything, everything, comment section below. Let's get a conversation going. Once you're done doing that, make sure you check me out on Instagram and Untapped. It's No Hype Beer Reviews at both of those places. So please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone.